All right, guys, I am laying on my couch recovering from my 4-day live event. And that is exactly the topic of today's podcast. So good news for you. It's behind the scenes. You're going to get to see what I delivered as my keynote for our live event. And it's not fun. It's about the obituary that every chiropractor will have if they don't fix their shit. So if you want to live a better life, do the opposite of this obituary, because in this podcast, I am going to read an obituary that I talked about chiropractors that have lived a small life, that have taken no risks, that have not built the business they want. And it's from the perspective of their son. So it's heavy, but we need it as a profession. So hope you enjoy.
I actually wanted to start with a conversation that I had with Lauren about 6 weeks ago. This is a true story. So about 6 weeks ago, Lauren, she puts a message in our sales channel and she said, I just got off a sales call and this guy was really tough. Now, in Lauren translation, that means that guy was a fucking asshole. She's like, can you watch the call and let me know? Tell me what happened. Like, tell me what I could do better. Tell me about this call because I want to get better at the call. So I went and I watched the call, and this guy was a fucking asshole. At one point in this call with Lauren, he literally looks at her, stops and says, I've been doing this for a long time, and something's changed in this profession. I have a lot of friends that have been doing it. I have a lot of colleagues that are struggling right now. The industry has changed. The business has changed, and it's really hard out there. And he literally asked her, he said, you have to admit, Lauren, you have to admit, something's changed. Tell me, something's changed. It's hard. Everyone I talk to is struggling. And she said to me, what was I supposed to say to that? What do you say when someone says that to you? My first thought was, well, sales 101, ARA, like agree, yeah, sure, things have changed, and then go on to the next thing. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. But I got off the call watching that and talking to her, and I went home and I started to think about it. And then I went and did my research, and I wanted to know, was he right? Is he right? Has our industry changed? And what is the reality of it? And so I went and I did my research. I tried to find things in our industry. And I looked at the only thing I could find, which was Chiro Economics, this magazine, and I started to look. I wanted to see, is there anything out there that's showing that this industry has changed, that in fact, this guy was correct, and that it is harder, and that is the reality that we are in today. Maybe he's right. I had to ask the question, maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. And so the first thing I found, everyone stand up, everyone stand up, stand up, everyone stand up, stand up. Imagine this is the commencement speech that we're graduating today from school, from chiropractic school. Imagine that. Now, this side of the room will divide it down the middle. Everyone here, sit down, sit down. Half the room, sit down. Half the room, sit down. This side of the room, sit down. Imagine this is chiropractic school graduation, commencement. 50%. According to chiropractic economics, 50% of this graduating class within 5 years will no longer be in practice. 50%, half the fucking room. Half the fucking room will be out of practice, no longer practice. Graduate from school will be fucking done. They're done. Toast. Half. Everyone sit down. Lane, what do you have here? What's that? What does it say louder? $100 bill. Can you count, Jake? I think so. Count that shit. How much is there? Shout it.
$77.
All right, here's what's going to happen. Lane, stand up. Jake, stand up. Lane, you're going to go give Jake 100. Go give him 100. Go give him the money.
Let's go. No.
Jake, you're going to give him back 77. Go ahead, sit down. So what just happened? What just happened? No. Lane just took a 23% pay cut. He had 100, he just made 77. He just took a 23% pay cut. Since 2016, reimbursement has gone down 23%. So when you used to make $100, you are now lane, and now you make $77 for the same thing, the same exact thing. Now you tell me, in what world does that make sense? Anyone else read here? Anyone know how to read? I know we're chiropractors, but anyone can read? Anyone? Joe, you're a Jersey boy. Can you read this? Read it loud. Just the headline. Read the headline. Loud, 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 loud. Stand up and read it. In the state of New Jersey, on average, if you are a teacher, you make, on average, how much?
Over 80K.
According to chiropractic economics, the average associate salary is $72,000. So what you were telling me is that if you go to professional school, on average, if you live here, you're going to make less as a fucking professional than you will as a teacher. Where my wife grew up in North Jersey, true story, the #1 ranked district in the state, their average salary $102,000. So if you are a chiropractor in Bergen County, New Jersey, and you are a teacher in Bergen County, New Jersey, there's a $30,000 pay gap. What the living fuck? What are we doing? And so here's the thing. You know what? That fucking guy, he was right. Things have changed. It is different. That is the reality. But it's not our reality. And all of you think that the reason why that is the reality is because of the external circumstance. Because of reimbursement going down. Because school is more expensive. Because the economy is bad. Because my town won't pay. Because no one can afford it. External, 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 external. But the reason why we're fucked is not because of any of that. It's because of this. And I will tell you, on my kids, if we let that shit come into here, I will shut this motherfucker down. I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that. And so today, what we're going to do, once and for all, we're going to kill that shit. Today's a funeral. And I'm going to read an obituary. And today, that shit dies. So I want you to imagine, here is a son standing in front of a group of people at a funeral, reading his father's obituary. But this is not the kind of obituary that you'd expect. It's not the flowery words, not the sentimental stories. It's going to be the honest one. The one that, you know, when you've gone to the funerals, you're like, nah, he wasn't that guy. You know that one. The kind that tells the truth. The truth about living life small, about dreams never acted on, about false beliefs that never died until he did. But here's the thing. This isn't about my dad. I think you guys know that. This is about the profession that we're in. Because if you look closely, so many chiropractors, PTs, acupuncturists, doesn't matter, trainers, they could have the exact same obituary read about each and every one of them. So today, I'm going to read that obituary. My father, he was a nice man. Everyone in town knew his name. But sometimes I wondered, was he just too nice? So nice that he let everyone come in and be his patient. And oftentimes he never even charged them. He believed it was poor form to ask for money. So he never did. Funny though, I remember as a kid asking for a few bucks every now and then, go to the movies, go out with my friends, but he never had any. It's weird how that works. You know, he always told me that marketing is the lifeblood of the practice. It's the lifeblood of the practice. Yet when I asked him how much money he spent on marketing, he said, we're doctors. We don't pay for advertising. His business was 100% referrals, and he took pride in that. But it did seem odd to never invest in what he called the lifeblood of his practice. You know, he often told me to reach for the stars and dream big. But in his own life, he always played it small and safe. Whenever I asked him about growing his business, he said, it's not going to work. It's too risky. Funny. My dad, now it just seems like the risk he didn't take seemed even more risky. My dad, he loved being active. He loved posting online about the sports he would play and the fitness endeavors he would partake in, always with a motivational quote attached. Pain is temporary, he would write. But in his business, any pain, sales that felt uncomfortable, or marketing to a new audience, or leading a team, he avoided. He was always skeptical of anyone trying to sell him anything. And he was a true pain in the ass as a customer. He took pride in that. He always gave everyone a hard time. But he always seemed surprised that all his patients were skeptical of chiropractic. He always thought they were the crazy ones. He told me, son, never trust anyone. Which is why he never hired another chiropractor. Nobody could ever be trusted with his patients. I guess he really just must have been that good. You know, he always hated that patients were late. He said it's a sign of disrespect. But it was weird. He was always late coming home to us. I guess he disrespected us too. My dad, he was always busy. He had a full schedule. Day after day after day after day. It seemed like he always took pride in being busy, especially when others were asking him how he was doing. Busy, so busy, busy, crazy, busy. Always took pride in that, hard work. But I always wondered why he wasn't profitable. If he was so busy. Busy without anything to show for it seemed odd. No? I asked him once, I said, Dad, why don't you ever raise your price? He said he had tried it once, but he had so much pushback, he just went back to the old price. He said he was going to overprice his market. It's weird, though. It's so odd because his patients, they always seem to find room for vacation and golf and beach houses and second homes. I just never understood how he was the one that was overpriced. Never understood how that worked. I'd always thought, though, maybe if he actually learned the skill of sales and communication and positioning himself in the marketplace, that would have changed. But who knows? I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't understand. He told me years ago when I was a kid that when he finally had the money, then he would really invest in growing his business. And I believed him. But the money never came, and neither did the growth. It seemed like if he actually had the money, he wouldn't need to invest it in growth. He said investing in yourself was the most important thing that you could do. Yet one time, he saw me reading a self-help book and he laughed at me. He said I should just put my money in the stock market. It was odd. He seemed to have more confidence in Coca-Cola than himself. He always complained recently about inflation, that rent and the price of gas and groceries kept going up and up and up and up. But for 20 years, he was always annoyed that insurance paid less than the year before. He just never did anything about it. Funny guy, my dad. He promised us one day we'd go on vacation, but he worked every Saturday for 2 decades. That trip never came. My dad, he told us he did it all for his family. Maybe that was true. But sometimes I just wish he would have done it for himself. Maybe the results would have been better. I remember one time when I was a kid, I struck out to end the championship game in Little League. I cried all the way home. He told me to get myself together, that if I was going to compete, I had to keep my emotions out of it. A few days later, he came home from work pissed. One insurance company just denied him $10,000 worth of reimbursement. Because he was a man of his word, he had to take his emotions out of it. 2 hours and 8 beers later, he had done just that. My dad really was a man of his word. My dad lived with a full calendar, crowded office, and a heart full of dreams. Unfortunately, he died with a business that never reached its potential. That might sound heavy. It is. And for a lot of us here, that's going to be our ending. But the good news is that we can change it. This is all about the beliefs required. It's not about the insurance. It's not about the reimbursement. It's not about the economy. It's not about the stock market. It's not about the president. For us, it's the belief that being busy is the same as being profitable. It's the belief that playing it safe is smarter than betting on yourself. It's a belief that the market can't afford what we do, but really we simply lack the skills required. It's the belief that waiting until someday we'll finally figure it out. And here's the thing. If you don't kill these beliefs while you're here, they're going to write your obituary for you. So we're here to put those to rest. And I hope all of you take that to heart. Thank you.